From the trenches of motorsports and Gearhead Central, this is RealTuners Radio, your all-motor, boosted, and nitrous-fed hour of power. Now, here's your hosts, the Reverends of RPM, the Faction of Traction, John Bewley, Scott Clark, Bill Fowler, Scott Evans, Mark Dahlquist, Mike Perduto, James Short, Tom Sewell, Brian Barnhill. This is RealTuners Radio.
Good evening to our captive audience tonight, and welcome to RealTuners Radio episode 117. Tonight, as you'd expect, the topic is the quarantine being placed on all of us, not just in the United States, but around the world. So we're going to chat a while with our special guest, Dr. Ben Noonan, who is an orthopedic specialist but has more than enough background and training to talk us through the facts about the coronavirus known as COVID-19. Then we'll move to discussion with our listeners on both the Facebook and YouTube chats and talk about what we can do on a budget with our car projects while racing events are temporarily on hold. So grab your respirator and a 96-pack of Charmin, your favorite drink, and let's get started. This is RealTuners Radio. Hola, what's going on, everybody? How's the listening audience out there tonight? I didn't screw up that intro or anything. So far, so good. I'm not going to promise a perfect night, but let's hope for it. So anyway, just real quick, for those of you, I think I've gotten a hold of everybody, but the Palm Bay class, the state of Florida is making us move that class from follow a weekend after this next one. So that is going to go from March 28th and 29th now to April 25th and 26th, still a Saturday and Sunday. I've gotten a hold of everybody signed up for that class. Sounds like a few of the guys are going to opt for a group tune thing, so there might be 3 or 4 seats opened up for that sold out class. Talk to me in a couple days. Get a hold of me, Scott at RealTuners.com, or call us on the phone. Meanwhile, Dallas-Fort Worth class has been added May 9th and 10th. At Pro Tree Automotive in Royce City, Texas. A lot of fast cars come out of that shop down there. Should be pretty cool. I just put it out here a couple days ago, and of course with the virus stuff, there's plenty of seats left for that one. So Dallas-Fort Worth people, get in on that one. Usually the Fort Worth classes sell out. Who knows what's going on with the virus? Who knows? I mean, if we're not going to have it, if they're going to push these things out more than a month, then what we're going to start doing is more online classes. Look for a May 30, 31st weekend, an online version of the RealTuners EFI class. That one, that's going to be our way of pushing back. Anyway, And the other stuff we're doing right now, lots of remote tunes. Give me a call. You can get to realtuners.com and kind of read about our services there. But doing lots of remote tunes and helping people get their stuff together. We're going to talk about that tonight. Kind of talk about stuff you can do on the project car and stuff you are doing. Actually, we want to hear from you guys. Get on the Facebook and the YouTube chats and let us know kind of how are you kind of weathering the storm? I mean, everybody obviously knows what's going on unless you live under a rock, but we have a lot of guys in the medical field that are customers and listeners of ours. Ben Noonan, Dr. Ben Noonan is on here tonight, and we're kind of happy to have him. Now, he's an orthopedic guru, but he's also a drag racer, and he's got more than enough training to kind of just walk you through like what's real about this virus and what's being said in the medical community and what you need to worry about and what you don't need to worry about, kind of separate the wheat from the chaff. And on that whole information stream, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. But so I'll go ahead and bring the guys on here. And Dr. Ben, are you with us, man? And how are you doing?
I am. I'm doing well. Thanks.
Excellent. Welcome. Thanks for joining in at the last minute, man. And you're probably getting tired about being asked about this virus thing, so we won't burn a bunch of your time tonight. But how's everybody else doing?
No
Fowler, you on here tonight? Did I hear you jumping on?
I am. I'm in the car. My phone won't connect to the regular CarPlay thing, so I'm just having to drive illegally here in Southern California holding my phone in my hand, so I'm not going to be bothering you guys too much until we get back home. We just went out and picked up food from one of our favorite restaurants because all the restaurants are closed except for takeout service.
Right. Same here. So
Bill, are you holding the phone flat out in front of you and on speakerphone, you know?
like the annoying people do?
That is literally what I am doing, Mark. Yeah. So that's why it sounds so lame, I imagine.
No, it sounds good, actually. It's surprisingly not bad. So
we've got virtually no traffic whatsoever, so that's the upside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bill, you're probably the best at the professional level interviews. Why don't you fire away? What are the questions people have been asking or wondering about?
Well, Dr. Ben, thank you, number one, for being on the show this evening. So I think the question that is on a lot of people's minds, they might express it in different ways, but we're hearing a great deal about, quote, flatten the curve. And we've all seen the diagram that's been shown around on the news that shows a tremendous spike and then a quick taper and then flattening the curve, which is a longer, lower amplitude curve. But much like camshaft profiles, it looks to me like the total number of people that may get infected is spread out over time longer, but it avoids the peak, which would overwhelm our healthcare system on a national basis. Is that correct, or what should we be expecting in terms of how long we're going to be under these very restrictions, or do you have that information?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you said is exactly right. And like we said, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, so I kind of like to joke, not really a real doctor, but, we have meetings about this every day, sometimes twice a day, and that is the real worry of the healthcare system, and everybody's really nervous about it, is if we just let this virus kind of move from person to person, and even if it's no different than the flu, which quite honestly, that's one of the big things. We don't know much about this. We've never seen it before. It's never existed in humans. But even if it's just another influenza, if all of that transmission happens and people get sick and they need intensive care or respirators, we don't have the beds, the respirators, the people to take care of them if everybody gets sick at once. So that's this whole flattening the curve deal. And you'll still have the same amount of transmission because you're probably not going to have enough time to develop, immunizations and natural immunity. But if they trickle into hospitals so that people are getting better, getting off the ventilators as new people are coming in, then we can keep up with it. But, the straight up answer, and I think, Dr. Fauci, who everybody is kind of growing to love watching him on the news, he's pretty straight up about it, is we just don't know. And that's really what's making this so hard, is we don't understand this virus. Every single day you're learning more and more, and they're kind of changing some of their understanding. And it just makes it really difficult because, again, this is such a brand new thing. But the one important thing I think to know is we only have one first opportunity to kind of try to do something, and that's what they're pushing really hard for us to social distance, wash your hands, is to try to slow that down. And I think you can kind of see two potential outcomes, like South Korea, who tested aggressively and quickly and really got on board with that and doing relatively well, and Italy, who maybe kind of took a little less of a rigorous approach and not doing so well. So, I think the next 2 to 3 weeks will tell us a lot, but maybe not everything. But, the god-awful answer is we really don't know.
So in terms of what people need to be doing, we've all seen the news coverage about people hoarding toilet paper for some unknown reason, or other things. The big one that was in the news early was masks. At this point, should people worry about masks, buy masks? Under what circumstances is a mask appropriate and for who?
So what we tell our patients is if you are ill and you are coughing, a regular surgical mask is reasonable because it kind of contains the droplets. And we think most, maybe not all, but most of the virus is transmitted through the little droplets when you sneeze or cough. So just a simple surgical mask on you, if you are sick, can help to protect others. But wearing especially a surgical mask, which is the loose-fitting masks that don't really, not the N95 respirators, that probably won't do very much for you if you're not sick. And it might give you a false sense of security. So the CDC and pretty much every medical professional is saying, if you're not sick, you really don't need to wear a mask. And same thing with the respirators. Like if you're not sick, unless you are caring for sick patients, you really don't need to wear a mask, And then the flip side of that is it's making it very hard for especially some of these hot spots. I mean, I'm in North Dakota, so right now I think we have 6 or 7 positive tests, and so we're a little isolated, and hopefully the numbers are going to be lower. But New York and Washington, those hospitals are getting buried right now, and their caregivers are really struggling to have the equipment that they need to take care of patients. And if our caregivers start to get sick and go down, then we're really in a hurt bag. So I think the easy answer is if you're sick and coughing, sure, it makes sense to wear a mask. If you're not, it really doesn't.
So thank you. The other question that seems to have emerged out of all the coverage is that the virus is apparently demonstrating some of the ability to stay viable on hard surfaces. I read somewhere about cardboard for 24 hours and very hard surfaces like stainless steel and so forth for longer than that. Is there updated data on that, and what should people be doing about cleaning surfaces and with what?
So I heard some of that, and I don't know that I'm an expert enough to give precise guidance. I know our hospital is still saying the primary mode of transmission is person to person, but the CDC's recommendations, in a high traffic area, doorknobs, desk surfaces, things where a lot of people are touching or working, it makes sense to clean those areas with a bleach or a disinfectant that would kill the virus. But I think it still goes back to the most important thing anyone can do. There's probably 2. Try to socially distance and stay 6 feet away from other people. And if you're sick, stay home and just wash the heck out of your hands. Just always be thinking, my hands have the virus on it. So don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth, and wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. That's simply your best defense. It seems kind of ridiculous and easy, but it really makes a huge difference.
Are there other things? So naturally, in a circumstance like this, people begin to think, well, gee, I'm feeling a little achy, and I might have a fever, I might have something else. Is there a short list of symptoms that people can sort of check themselves out for to make a determination as to whether they should even contact their physician?
Yeah, I mean, the most common, and again, we're kind of learning as we go here, is, a fever, a cough, and shortness of breath. I mean, it's a respiratory virus, so it tends to attack your lungs, and that's what generates that big kind of inflammatory response and leads to all the problems. So if you have all of those, those would match. But if you look at, like in North Dakota, we've done almost 400 tests and like 7 were positive. So those were all patients that were displaying these symptoms. And the general criteria, and it's different from spot to spot depending on how many tests they have, is do you show the symptoms? Have you had travel to a high-risk area? Have you had close contact with somebody who's known to have the coronavirus? So if you have 2 of those, most places will test you. And some places, like the drive-thrus, they have more tests on hand, they'd be willing to test. But still, the vast majority of people that display those symptoms will have influenza or one of the other coronaviruses that causes a cold, and not the novel coronavirus. And the natural follow-up is if your symptoms are mild, even if you test positive, and unless you're a healthcare worker or something where you would transmit this, the treatment is isolation, stay at home, Tylenol, those sort of medicines. So everyone doesn't need to run out and get tests. As we get more and more tests and the tests get quicker, then the CDC will probably start to push for more testing so they can surveil and monitor. But, those are the classic symptoms. But again, even if you have those, the vast majority of the time right now, it's probably something else.
So, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but Scott Travis is a good buddy of ours down in Carrier, Mississippi, and he asks, he says people have talked about this. There's kind of a rumor going around that, there's certain temperatures, ambient temperatures, that it won't survive in or transmit or live as long. I mean, are there concerns? Does this virus, will it live on the hood of a car if somebody coughs all over a hood and then I rub on it later and touch my face? If it's in 85 degrees down in New Orleans and humid, I mean, is there ambient concerns or anything, any knowledge about that yet?
I straight up don't know the answer to that one. That's something I'd have to.
And that's fine.
Find out.
No, that's fine. I'd rather hear that than BS our way through it. That's good.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to tell you something I don't know, and I don't know that one.
Yeah. No, that's fine too. And if the answer is we don't know, we are totally cool with that. So. Yeah. And I mean, I would guess we're still learning.
That's going to be the answer of a lot. That's the hard one. It's just so totally novel and new, and a lot of the stuff, like SARS and MERS or some other coronaviruses that were epidemics, and they're related but different. So they're kind of using some of that evidence to guess like how long is the incubation period. And like I said, like every day, we have these meetings and I listen to infectious disease doctors talk, and he's like, okay, what we thought yesterday is a little different, and here's what we've learned. So it's literally like hour by hour recommendations. But like to go back to that question about what are we worried about as healthcare professionals and that surge capacity. As an orthopedic surgeon, they are really starting to cancel elective surgeries. So if you're going to get a hip replacement, a knee replacement, an ACL surgery, they are telling us not to do those because they want to use the respirators we use in the operating room. They want to convert operating rooms and recovery rooms to potential places to care for these patients. So they're trying to get ready for this, hopefully what we never see, but possible surge of patients. So it's really affecting all of healthcare.
So then, I mean, in general, it sounds like you feel that the actions being taken by federal and state and local governments are probably appropriate then.
Yeah, there was a statement that I really liked. I said, in about 3 months, we'll probably never know if we overreacted, but we'll damn sure know if we underreacted. And
good call.
You kind of get one chance at this, and I think you have to be honest and say we don't know what's going on. People should not freak out. It's again the statement that probably for you it's not life threatening, but as a society, as a healthcare system, this can be a major deal. So I kind of put my faith in the CDC and say, look, they're just trying to do the best and they know the most information. And I hope at the end of this, we all go, that wasn't as bad as we thought. But yeah. I mean, again, you look at a country like Italy, that's not a third world country, right? They have a good healthcare system and they're having to make decisions like, can I save this patient or not? And, you know, those are just decisions we don't want to make as healthcare providers.
Let me ask you this. Are there chances that this already went around? Let me just give you a little history here. So back in, November, December, I'm talking SEMA time frame, you know, and I'm thinking about the Apex show, which has tens of thousands of people from China coming over. And a bunch of my friends came home sick, and none of them tested positive for the flu, but spent 6, 8, 10 days suffering, dry cough, weird behaviors. I, for one, caught that same thing. And I spent, oh God, guys, when was the TRZ episode? I was so miserable for the TRZ episode. It sucks because those guys were so awesome. Greg Schmidt and the TRZ guys. But anyway, I literally spent 8 days on a road trip, holed up, and twice I went to the local ER to get checked, and they assured me, man, we're testing you, and you're not testing positive for flu, and they treated the symptoms, but holy hell did I feel like I was dying, couldn't breathe well, and it was very atypical for me. Do you think there's a chance that some of this has gone around already, or no?
Yeah, you know, I've had that conversation with a few people because a lot of people are remembering very similar circumstances that you had, and, you know, again, not being an epidemiologist, I don't think they were doing any testing for this. You know, the labs have always had the ability to do some of these complex tests. It was never commercialized, but I mean, perhaps, you know, the one thing you would be a little difference is, you know, you would expect a lot of elderly immunocompromised people to have died from this or come close to death. And, you know, you would think that as a healthcare system, we would notice those numbers, although, you know, people make the comparison, well, look how many people die from the flu, which is completely accurate. I mean, we, you know, tragically lose a lot of people every year, but you would have thought if this would have swept through our country like that we would have just at least been reporting on the news like this is the worst influenza, you know, season we've had in 100 years. Because if you look at the expectant, you know, intubations and death rates, you know, I don't know that we'll ever totally know the answer to that question, because a huge issue right now is testing. And
there was some CDC data going around today that showed that tracking influenza-like reports, or ILA or IL, what was it? IL something report, but it was showing that last November, December was a really bad year comparatively to the 10 years previous. That you know, the red line was a bit above everything else. I mean, as far as the trends went, I was just curious if there was any chat or discussion about that in the medical community. So there you go.
Yeah, not the meetings we've had, but, you know, quite honestly, I think when we get a year out from this, you know, there's going to be a lot of looking back and reflecting and asking questions. You know, I think right now people are so focused on, my God, what is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, couple of months? Can we take care of people? But it will be, I think, a lot of looking into this and, you know, like everything we do in this country, trying to come back bigger and better and make sure we never get behind the curve again. And it'll be interesting to see. You know, I don't know if genetically they could look at some of that, or you're getting above my pay grade as an orthopedic surgeon, but you're not the first one to bring that up, and kind of the interest in how some people have just been really sick for a long time before this all came to light.
Right. Makes sense. Go ahead,
Dr. Ben, before we wrap up on the virus, because I'm sure people have heard enough about it. My question is, it seems to what I've seen that the actual symptoms and the actual illness itself isn't that big of a deal for most people, but because it's a respiratory illness, it's what comes along with it that really punishes the weaker elderly, people with maybe immune system deficiencies, like the pneumonia or other respiratory illnesses that attach themselves to this. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
I think it's mostly accurate in that in most people, you know, there's a lot of people that probably never know they even have it. You know, sniffles, little fever, don't feel so good, resolve. There's some people that kind of just get sick and get better, and the majority of people recover. You know, I think it's like 80-85% recover, 15-20%, you know, go to the hospital. Maybe 2 to 5% actually need intensive care. And what happens is, the virus gets into the lungs, it starts to kill the cells in the lungs, and then it can do that because the immune system does not recognize it at all. I mean, it has no idea what's going on. It's never seen this virus before. So it reacts by trying to clean up and, get rid of those cells, and that's all inflammation. And then you get all this fluid in the lungs and you get respiratory failure. And, these older patients with, medical comorbidities, they have very little reserve, so they can't handle loss of lung function. And when it starts cascading out of control, they get really sick really fast. And that's why we end up putting a breathing tube in and having a machine breathe for them. And in a lot of them, if you can give them supportive care, that might take 2 or 3 weeks, they can recover. Younger, healthy people can kind of weather the storm. And it's interesting. I'd seen a few reports of in China looking at these people who were quote unquote recovered, but in young lungs, when imaged, there was fibrosis and, seeing that there was a battle going on in their lungs, and they were just strong and healthy enough to kind of overcome it.
Right.
So again, individual risk in a young, healthy person, although there's some conflicting data now coming out of Italy that maybe it's not quite a pass as we thought for young, healthy people, but still, by and large, tolerated pretty well. It's definitely the older smokers, diabetics, COPD people that they just don't have the reserve to take it.
Cool. That sounds
good. Dr. Ben, if you weren't medical professional and you were told to stay home for a couple of weeks so that you don't spread this, and your race car's sitting at home and race season's coming up, what are you looking at doing? What are you gonna do to the race car?
Yeah, what's going on with the Nova Chevy 2, whatever we call it, this season? Just out of curiosity, because we've followed your car for a couple years.
That's a lot more fun to talk about for sure. It's not as much of a downer.
Hell yes.
I mean, you can do whatever you want in your garage, right? Like with your family and stuff. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, social distancing doesn't make sense within your household. So right now, I'm waiting for my car and an engine and everything to come back. But we're gonna. I tried to make a 5.3 really work last year, like really getting after it and seeing what we could do. And I had to leave in second turbo 400, and it took me almost the whole year to figure out that I had to leave on like 20 pounds of boost and to make any power. And I didn't love that. So we're building a 427 for it for next year, and I'm going to make the jump to methanol. So I got to figure all that out. And it should be a fun year though. I think just be able to make a little more usable power and not have to be dancing on the ragged edge every single time.
Sure. Well, I know some people who can help, man. You know who to call when you need a little guidance on that methanol.
Right. I'm looking forward to figuring it out, but still lots to do, and I guess, probably have a little bit of time to do it here.
So 427 LS, what turbos are you running?
I got a pair of, from Little John, a pair of forced induction, the Billet S480s.
Nice. Okay. Did you lose the intercooler for the methanol this year, or?
Yep. That's why I wanted to do it. I got tired of it. I had to air to water, and then I had a big, huge air to air, and just got sick of all the stuff everywhere. And it's like, I'm going to try to simplify this and make the change.
Twin 480 is going to make some jam. That's no little setup right there.
Yeah.
No, it's hopefully it'll be all right. A little easier to probably work with, hopefully, than a 5.3.
Go find Benjamin Noonan on Facebook, and you can check out his car. It's a sweet build. So, very cool deal.
It's funny you mentioned that 5.3. I compare it all the time in a local car. We had to leave to go 114 60-foot. We had to leave on 22 pounds with a single 88 and a 5.3. By changing to a 6-liter, the car would leave on 8 pounds and do the exact same 60-foot, the exact same thing every time.
Wow.
That's difference that little motor makes.
Yeah, I had the crappiest year ever last year trying to, make drag radials work, and my converter was a little too tight, and it just, I had to learn how to pull timing on the brake. And, when it finally started working, I was like, oh, okay, but I was like, I don't want to do this every single time.
Right. Ragged edge sucks sometimes. I know where you're at.
Yeah.
That's where Scott Evans comes in.
He's going to leave on 2 pounds.
Scott did the first fire up on his twin turbo 540 on Sunday. And Scott's goal is to drive it to the racetrack. Don't open the hood, run a 7-second something quarter mile, and drive it home. That's what his goal is.
Yeah,
but we're going to bring a trailer just in case. A lot more doable. Yeah.
always. You never know.
Yeah.
But as far as Scott Evans, this would be a good opportunity for you to talk about not pushing it on the ragged edge, because your 408 was kind of on the ragged edge, and now you're going to the 540.
Yeah, I legitimately am going to drive it to the track, not open the hood, run a 7, drive it home. No trailer. That's my goal.
I see no reason. You may even be able to pull it off on the first try, honestly. No one else has thoughts on that?
I think the first try is always a matter of did you get lucky enough on the shock settings?
Yeah.
The springs.
I'm already kind of sort of mostly sorted, and I know what I need to do for the new amount of weight in the front end, which surprisingly isn't that much, because I took a bunch of weight out of the front end by going tubular instead of the stock frame up there. So, I ended up at 3,300 pounds with me in the car. So I don't feel too bad about my weight. It's not that much more than I was before. It's a little more on the nose than it was before, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. I was already pushing an 8.0 with the 404. Now I got more power behind me. I can back half like nobody's business.
Hopefully.
So do we have pictures of Dr. Ben's car that we can show? Because I gathered it's a RV2 of some sort. I didn't know if
had a slideshow. Hold on, I'll pull some up here, guys. Hang on a second here. Let me.
That'd be cool to see.
Yeah, I would love to see pictures of the.
Bringing it up here at the risk of killing all my bandwidth. Hold on. Okay, working on it. Give me about 6 or 8 more seconds. Let's see here.
Yeah, us LS guys are jealous of the twin turbo big block power on tap. It's not fair.
It truly isn't, man. I mean, I talked to Ryan Mitchell last year. If you guys know Ryan Mitchell, Firebird guys down in Kansas City, and he's like, holy crap, I may go back to LS power because I'm so tired of leaving on like 6 pounds and 8 degrees of timing. Street racing, but it was just kind of funny because he makes so much power now that's like 2,000 horsepower is easy, but applying it, in this day and age, there's a lot of us can help with power management and stuff like that. And Scott's good at that. He's done that for a long time, so I'm sure he's going to get into a little bit. But his nice thing is not having to flog on your flog on everything. So okay, here we go. Photos are coming up. Just a second. Dun dun dun. So if you look at the thumbnail, that gives you a good idea. Let's go find albums.
And also, I'm normally the guy that watches Facebook for your questions, and my bandwidth is so low right now I can't even open Facebook. So if you guys have questions and I didn't see them, I didn't answer them, I sincerely apologize for that.
I think I got them covered tonight. We're doing pretty good.
We're doing pretty good? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. So, all right, pictures of Dr. Ben's car. Here's pictures of the build right here coming up. So, yep, it's pretty. It's still matte black this year.
It is, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Now, Ben, was this your high school car? Have you had this since high school?
Yeah, I was going to say I've had it for about 30 years. I bracket raced back in the early mid-90s with it. Little NA 377 back when like 400 horsepower, you were the king on the street if you had 400 horsepower.
That's great.
So how did you get the car? How did you originally acquire it? What led you to this particular car?
A buddy of mine had it, and he had a beautiful 68 Camaro, and he had just pulled the inline 6 out of it, and he had this gaudy, like, true 327 with the tunnel ram in it that I was just learning how to do all this stuff back then, trying to get it to run, and I put it all together right before I actually joined the military and just got it running before I left for basic training, and then I had to stick it back in the garage. But it's had a number of combinations in it and served me pretty good in the bracket racing days. But it went into mothballs when I went into medical school and residency, and then I got home and my wife said, geez, why don't you start racing again? Like, are you sure?
Holy
you know
crap, she's
means?
amazing. Yeah. Keep her.
I'm not sure she knew what she was signing up for. And then I got into this crap, bracket racing. That's easy. That's cheap. Now trying to keep up with big blocks and, oh my gosh, whole different world. But I love it. I was a mechanical engineer, and so I just think like the EFI and the Holly and the tuning and the ability to see what's happening. I just love it.
Yeah.
I'm far from a master at it, but I just love doing it. I think it's so cool.
No, it's good. It's a good box, easy to use, and it's intuitive and gets the job done. They got the right amount of stuff in there. We all agree, I think, most of us. So
yeah, for
cool.
A guy like me.
Yeah.
Is that a 650 Third chassis in that? I was just looking at the pictures go by.
Yeah, Matt Sandbeck, the guy at Sandbeck Racing, kind of did that for me, and we tried to lay it out because I was really pushing him to let me keep a back seat, and he told me I was high and no way, and eventually I had to let the back seat part go for the 4-link. But I just really wanted to keep it a car, I didn't want it to look like a full race car, so it's got a steel floor in it, and it's got power glass windows, and so it's a neat kind of. I mean, it's a race car. You look inside of it, but it's still. I drive
got
it
some
around
street amenities that are cool.
nice
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Have you taken any of your kids for a ride in it?
Oh yeah, yep. Benjamin, my 8-year-old, thought it was pretty cool, and I think my youngest, I got 3 little boys, 8, 5, and 4. I think the 4-year-old for sure is going to be a racer. I'm not sure about the other 2 yet, but
good pictures here. Lots of good pictures going by. That's awesome. So that's my favorite right there. Lance Webb took some great pics of this car. We like Lance. He's a good buddy of ours. He's been to one of our classes. Yep. Good.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, some great pictures.
Nice. Scott Travis asked what rear gear you're running.
So it has, make sure I get to this 430. So we'll see. That's what it had in it last year. Kind of see what it'll mile an hour this year. Maybe that'll be a little too much, and I'm hoping it's going to be close.
How tall is the tire?
It's that 315 ET. So what is that? 30 point? I can't remember the diameter of the drag radial.
30 and change.
315 drag radial. Yeah, I think 30.2 or something.
Are you usually racing at top end dragways, or what other tracks do you hit?
Yeah, that's my home track. It's so easy for me to get out there, and I know the guys pretty well, and that's where I bracket raced at back in the day. So very familiar with it. But Cache at the Creek, I went down there, and that was awesome. Loved it. Had so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So I tried to make all those races, and now I actually bought a trailer and some stuff, and maybe try to do a few more. But for sure, top end and Cache at the Creek would be the big ones, and maybe try to slide out to Brainerd a little bit.
Nice.
Mike Perduto has a question for you about the coronavirus, if that's all right.
No, more quick rant. I want to back up real fast. My wife is a pharmacist, and she just came home, and she said something that really got to me. She said a lady called in today who is immunocompromised because she had some form of transplant, and she literally broke down on the phone because she needs dog food, and she can't get a mask anywhere because all these idiots, and I'm going to call them what they are, idiots, are out there buying the crap they don't need, stocking up on stuff they don't need. This is the problem. If you don't need that mask, if you don't need that extra loaf of bread, just freaking leave the thing.
Hey man, quit panicking.
These are the people.
Yeah,
these are the people now. This poor lady can't get food for her dog. She's crying because the dog's probably the only thing she's got in life.
Yeah. That sucks.
I hate to call them idiots, but I'm going to call it what it is.
So get out of here and go take care of her, Perduto, because I know you're that guy.
I asked if she got her name, but she didn't. Otherwise, I actually already made that offer.
Right? I knew. I knew it. Oh, man, that sucks. No, I live out here, so I'm 20 miles from Omaha, Nebraska. So I go into Omaha, and it's Mad Max. The stores are empty. There was looting, a shooting last night in a damn Hy-Vee grocery store. Just ridiculous. The Walmart in Lake Manawa there on the edge of Council Bluffs, all the Walmarts are friggin' empty, and it's just people are being complete assholes to each other. But I go 5 miles the other way into southwestern Iowa, which is where my house is right now, and Oakland, Iowa, Trainer, Iowa, Carson, Iowa, all the Dollar General stores have all the stuff. People are taking one roll of one pack of toilet paper. Literally nobody's freaking out. So I think it's a Maybe it's a city thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know if the guys in the rural areas are experiencing the same stuff we are, but fortunately, the rural folks seem to be handling this a little bit better. You know, and they're already somewhat socially distanced just because we all live on acreages miles away from each other. But that's just my observation. No real comment or complaint there other than, come on, city folk. Everybody calm down. You're going to be able to go to the store and get stuff in the morning. Don't hoard. Hoarding is stupid. Unless it's ammo, then it's okay.
Exactly. I mean, take what you need, right?
Yeah.
Buy all
like
the
that.
ammo.
Like that dummy that bought 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, and now he can't sell it, and he's complaining because he's got all this money wrapped in it, and he can't sell it. It's like, you did it yourself by being a dick.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with him getting prosecuted, though, or getting in legal trouble, because that kind of defines healthcare. You know, there's corporate interests in healthcare that make insulin prices go way up too. Who knows? But
I was stopped at
If he doesn't have a business license, he's doing it wrong.
yeah.
The good point. I stopped at Ace Hardware the other day just to get a bottle of hand soap for work, just one so we could wash our hands at work. And I walked in and I was like, just joking. I was like, hey, you got hand sanitizer? She goes, nope, we're sold out. But all the hand soaps are full. Ain't no one buying hand soap to wash their hands. They're just all using sanitizer. Like,
What?
We had the same thing at the Walmart. Yeah. They're like, they bought all the hand sanitizer because they saw everybody else buying it, but there's tons and tons of soap still available. Jeez.
Just buy some acetone and some brake cleaner.
brake clean.
I was gonna say, we got 120 gallons of brake clean in the shop. I think we're good.
Dip your hands in the fuel a little bit when you're filling your tank on your race car. It's fine.
There's at least 20 gallons M5 in the trailer. I'm covered.
I
Yeah,
tell
we
you
got a
what
ton of
scares me though, guys, is Evans brought this up the other day, and I'm the worst. I must be a face toucher or nose picker or something, because every time someone asks me to do anti-seize on the plugs, dude, 5 minutes later I look like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, like guaranteed every time. So I'm literally like, he talks about don't touch your face, and I'm sitting over here like, okay, don't touch your face. I'm trying not to touch my face, but anyway, don't touch your face, people.
Yeah, I was working on something and I had some little tiny bit of anti-seize, almost turned into the Silver Man on accident.
Yeah, this whole time he's talking about don't touch your face. I've been eating popcorn.
Right.
Yeah, so Scott, the simple answer is use the copper anti-seize, and then you'll look like our president. So it'll all work out.
With the raccoon eyes. Yeah. So the orange man bad.
Well, I'm glad to hear Dr. Ben is stepping up into the cubic inches world. I think everyone should be doing that.
Yeah.
That's our message generally to the audience is be responsible for your family and your finances, but we want to support this hobby and make sure this all goes forward. So get online with your favorite local shop or wherever you buy your parts and buy some parts and get on here and do some tuning.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next. I think we can let Dr. Ben go. He's probably got lots of demands on his time. So thanks again, Dr. Ben. Appreciate it, man. It's good having you on here. Don't be a stranger. Give us a call when you fire that thing up on methanol. If you need some tuning help or guidance or anything else, man, you know who to call. So give us a shout.
That sounds great. Will do, guys. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks
you, buddy.
so much.
Talk to you soon.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Sweet. That was nice. Dahlquist, huge thanks for bringing Dr. Ben on. That he ended up being a real good guest, man. That turned out real cool. Got lots of compliments about that.
I'll tell you what, in person, he's such a super nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
And at the racetrack, he's a super nice, he's just all around. I met him when he first went to Megasport, and he's having some
he came to one of our classes. Yeah. He came to one of our classes once, too. One of the early classes you did.
Yep, that's how I originally met him.
Yep. So, good stuff.
Yeah. Superstar type guy.
Oh yeah, rock star.
At the same track as you do, Mark?
So you race at your same track at Top End Dragways, Mark? That you do, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's basically the only thing in Fargo. It's either that or helping sheep over the fence.
Air Museum.
Well, it's either that or turn left, which is the same thing as sheep over the fence.
Right. I swear I was just helping that sheep over the fence, officer.
Or it involves sheep. Let's put it that way.
Right. So, oh God. Where's Bewley at? We need some sheeple QAnon stuff. Oh, look at what okay, Audio Ninja. What are you showing pictures of? Man, let's talk about your car in the first startup. Can we talk about that?
We can, sure. Sure.
Okay,
The pictures scrolling in my little window are all my engine stuff, right? Built it in my garage. People think you have to have this perfect clean room to build an engine, but the truth of the matter, as long as you work clean, it will be just fine. And I built it in my garage at home. Nothing special.
Can I touch on that for a second?
Spent a few dollars on tools. Yep.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
When you said to work clean, can I touch on that for a second? So just like the example of using NICs and ending up looking like the Tin Man, the same thing goes for your tools. So everything that your tools have touched ends up inside your engine. So if you're going to assemble an engine, the first thing you need to do is clean your tools. That's one step that a lot of people miss because they're using the same tools that they did ball joints with or they did brake jobs with. And those tools have, even if you wipe them down, they still have dirt on them, and that dirt gets transferred inside the motor. So just like the NIC's example, if you're going to assemble an engine, the first thing to do is make sure your tools are clean.
That's fucking good advice, Marky. Thanks, man. I got a funny story real quick before Scott gets back into it. Remember, just park yourself, Scott. Remember where you're at. This is hilarious. Talking about cleanliness. John Beck is a gruff buddy of some of ours. He's John Beck Racing Engines out in Chico, California, and he's does some nitromethane blown nitro engines for some Bonneville friends of ours. And the 911 Roadster, if you're familiar with that, it's the first and only high boy Roadster to go over 300 miles an hour, and it does it with 4,500 horsepower worth of blown nitromethane top fuel style motor. But anyway, he was telling me stories about, sometimes you do it as clean as you can. He's got a real nice clean room at his facility, but he's like, sometimes you just got to do it. He was telling me this story. He's built the engines for the Problem Child top fuel drag boat. I think they've got like 15 or 16 national championships under their belt with this motor. And with this boat, and he was telling me stories about he'd been in situations where they got this thing pushed up on the beach and he's, knee deep in water in some lake somewhere, and he's sliding a set of heads down, over the studs, and you can literally feel the grit in the sand kind of scraping and dragging as the heads are going on, and still went out and won a race and won a national championship doing that. So it's kind of funny to hear the different stories about when you have to do it in the dirt. I'm curious if any of our listeners out there have got any stories about building engines in the dirt. Post up. We want to hear about them, and we'll talk about them. But anyway, go ahead, Evans. Go ahead.
There is also a difference between building it the first time and
yeah, that's what he said.
Doing repair.
Yeah. He said it was all trash after that. But I just thought it was funny. Just the image of somebody on a beach, knee deep in water, sliding the heads on this thing and putting a nitro engine back together and bolting a blower back on it and going out and winning a national championship was a cool story. Carry on.
Yeah, and I try to just add some more pictures to my directory that I'm scrolling here, so hopefully some other stuff shows up. I just don't know if it's going to work right or if I got a scene and.
No, it looks like they're working. For it. Go ahead.
Well, I have more like the block stuff. I have complete car pictures. Doesn't look like it's working, but I can do it a different way here in a minute. So basically, I set out originally with an LS motor many moons ago, and several versions of it. Went through a nitrous version, a supercharger version, finally onto a version. And I was you're always searching for that little faster time slip. You always want to get the most power you can get and do the fastest you can go. And it was slowly getting faster and faster and faster. And it just didn't quite get where I wanted it to get without having to work on it constantly. With the LS motor, 172, and it was much all it had into it. And I was working on it on a regular basis. I had to pull the motor out several times to refresh bearings. I was just tired of working on it. And so the thought process in my head said, let's build bigger, let's build better, let's make it a whole lot more power to start with so I don't have to flog on it as hard. Started with, I'm just going to sell this LS motor and use that to build. And then it turned into, well, if I build this big block, how much power am I going to make, and what's the failure point? Well, crap, it's probably going to be the crappy standard stock G block the problem. The other parts aren't having any issues, so I better buy a block. So I ended up buying a Dart Biggie, which then turned into, okay, what's the next failure point? Oh, crap, rods and pistons and crank. I better buy good on that. And then it turned, well, I already have all this money into that stuff. Let's buy the next big thing, and it just snowballed. So what was going to be a reasonably budget build turned into a little more money than I want to think about, but the right amount of money for my project. Let me try to pull up some other pictures. I got to see if I can get something else into this directory. It doesn't want to show the other pictures for some reason.
Yeah, it appears there's a piston and rod that are not in the right location.
Correct. They are they're sitting in the wrong spot there. So maybe this one.
You could always just share your screen.
Scott, I don't know, and you guys
what I was
that are
do.
on the big turbo stuff will know more about this than me, but okay, so you build a 540 with twins, and when you get to the more complete build pictures, everybody's going to like, oh my God. How do you avoid deciding to, turn the knob, so to speak, whether it's keyboard or wherever else the knobs are, and just say, well, if I was able to make that on 28 PSI with that little bitty small block, what can I make with this?
Right? So the decision of how much comes down to where you start with. Obviously, you have to have a goal in mind. My goal, as already stated, is to drive to the track, my house, pull it out of the garage, drive it the entire way to the track, run a 7-something, drive it home. Not have to use a trailer, not have to do anything special to it. Just show up, go make a few passes, maybe even hot lap it, have a little fun, and drive home. Let's see if I do. I can do this, and then I can hit share screen.
What are the limitations on hot lapping an air-to-air intercooled car?
Just becomes your engine temperature, really. If you can't keep it cooled down, that's where you have real issues.
Yep. Pop the hood, it'll cool down pretty quick. You got to be careful, like Bewley always says. And I want to get his, of course, so Bewley isn't on here because what did he do? He left his mic at your house, Perduto? Is that what he did? So for like the last 3 weeks, he couldn't be on here because he left his mic. But anyway, that's a good Bewley question. But he talks about keeping it from becoming a heater instead of a cooler. But cool that sucker off. Get the metal, get the intercooler, the fins cooled off.
Yep.
His theory. Sorry, I had myself muted and couldn't come off. Yes, I have his headset like an idiot. But Bewley's theory is that a air-to-air intercooler is just a heat sink. So when you have it cold before a run, it's only good until it warms up, and then it's basically just a piece of pipe until you can cool it back off.
Right.
But
they're surprisingly effective, especially when they're out in the wind. So like on a road-driven car, street-driven car, you can be surprisingly effective. Jake and Anastasia Hoshinsky ran an air-to-air intercooler for a long time on that, and their car was dipping down into the middle 8s with an air-to-air intercooler and was working just fine. And we could run that thing pretty good, cool it off between rounds. These pictures are good, Scott. And I went
about the choice of building my own intake and doing all the fab work myself for everything. I built, you can see in that one picture there that just went by, I had my coils are on top of the valve covers just like an LS. I decided to get them up where I could change things easily and didn't have to worry about wires getting melted and doing things. They happen to nice way. Easy to wire up. It's kind of shoehorned in there. You can tell from the pictures that it's a physically big motor sitting between the frame rails in a Mustang, but I made it fit. I measured beforehand and did a lot of research to try to figure out what I needed to do to make it fit. It's as far back and as low as it can get without scraping anything. The pan sits about 1/8 of an inch above the steering rack.
Man, these slides are great, Scott. These are turning out good. Yep. Keep it up. This is good.
to do a 36-1 wheel on the thing.
Yep.
I've spun motors 95 RPM with no issues on a 36-1.
Yep.
I figure I've got a 350 rear gear in the thing. I'll probably be crossing the trap somewhere near 78 or $8,000, maybe 82.
Are you running LS coil packs, or are you running IGN 1As or LS 1 packs?
LS coil packs. Yep.
Nice. Okay. So,
yep. There, reference for size of turbo right there, times 2.
Right. Hey, quick pause. I see Scott Travis is on here. Just wanted to talk about something. Did you guys watch the No Prep King? Was it the season finale? What was on last week? What was it? It was the teams thing with JJ, whatever. I don't know what it was, but anyway.
That was the finale, yes.
Yeah, so did you catch Todd Spears on there, who went undefeated? Was the guy that went undefeated? So he's a customer of Scott Travis's, who's been a long-time listener, and we've held classes at Scott's.
Which car is that, Scott?
It's a Fox Body Mustang. Scott Travis, yeah. Todd kicked ass, Street Outlaws, fastest in America, undefeated, and it's a mod motor Mustang. Okay, did it with a mod motor tuned by Scott Travis, built and tuned down at Travis Motorsports. But anyway, I saw him on here, and I just wanted to kind of give a shout out because it was cool. And it was funny because Scott sent me pictures from the class. The last class we did down there, Todd was in our class. So it was really cool. It was really cool seeing one of the students go out there and one of the guys that hosts the class and kicking ass on the TV. So anyway, congratulations to Scott and Todd. But anyway.
And as I understand it, talking about classes, you may be using Scott Evans' car at one of your upcoming classes in Vegas, correct?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Evans will do, we're going to do, here to announce in another day or two, we'll do the May 31st weekend class in Vegas. And I think we're going to do just an online class, make it a little bit more affordable. It'll still be interactive, so it'll be webinar style. For those of you that did some of our factory ECU classes we experimented with, we did completely interactive classes where you can talk to us, we can talk to you, we send you video screens of what you want to look at. We got cameras roving around, good audio, you can hear us, we can hear you. We're going to do one of those classes from Frank Guerrero's shop out in Vegas and stream from out there with Evans's help and technical engineering stuff. That'll be the May 31st weekend. So look for that. Look for being able to sign up on that. That'll have a limited number of seats so we can address everybody's questions. Something else we're able to do from those classes, we're able to do remote tuning on your car. So maybe get with your local shop, get on the dyno. Like we had Kenny Howard last year, a good buddy of ours. We actually were doing team viewer remotes from the class over the internet on his car, blasting it back out to the rest of the crowd. The interactive learning worked pretty damn good. So carry on, Mark. Would you have a question?
I was going to say there's a possibility that I might go out to Vegas for that because my trip to Vegas here, the 1st of April or the 4th of April, got canceled because of this virus. So I was going to hang out with Evans and do the 4-wide drag racing. And obviously that's not going to happen now, so I have to reschedule the trip. I might just do it for the
come out for the class, dude. I'm pretty sure we could probably cover your travel on that too, and some for the help if you want to help us with the stream. That would be sweet. Travel's
already covered. I already bought
the
ticket.
Done. Oh, then we won't reimburse you for it. Fine, just kidding. Nah, we'll figure something out. It would be cool to have you there for the class. So let's look for that weekend for a remote class.
Think of it. That ticket was like about $800.
Yeah, of course. Motherfuckers. So
it took him a while, but he got there. I'm just saying.
He got there. Mark's getting quicker at this stuff. So, all right. What else have we got before we... It's only been an hour. It's been short tonight. Things went kind of fast. Any end users out there, listeners, got questions? Hey, Kenny Howard is on listening. Check it out. What's up, Kenny? You have been called out. So, yeah, we do want to do that again. Yeah. All right, Kenny, we will do that. He's got an MS3 Pro car. We'll talk to you. We'll sign you up for that and do some remote tuning again. That was actually really cool. It's actually kind of neat doing the online interactive classes because we have the ability, since we've learned from the streaming video and audio, we can stream remote tuning screens from other people's cars, and it was surprisingly effective to do some of the remote tuning that way. So we'll do 2 days worth of that, but look for that coming up shortly. But hey, man, if you want to do an in-person class and you like to learn in person, check out the Dallas-Fort Worth class. There are lots of seats left for that. I only got like 5 or 6 people signed up out of 20 seats. So plenty of seats, Dallas-Fort Worth guys. There's also group discounts. We knock off Knock off $100 for groups of 3 or more. Knock off $50 for groups of 2 per person. That's all per person. Got good catered food, that kind of stuff. It's a good learning environment, so come check it out. God, I love your pictures, Evans. Holy crap. I'm sorry, I'm just stammering because I'm sitting here looking at all the pictures.
Another folder I can scrap through. There's just a bunch of miscellaneous pictures in there too of other little close-ups of parts and things from stuff.
Stuff's kind of busy with all the plumbing. It turned out kind of busy, but it's good. Things look good. You can get to everything, it looks like. So I like that.
Yeah, I can work on everything. I purposefully set out in my thoughts when I was building it to make it so that I could work on the car when I needed to, right? I can get to the plugs fairly easily. Couple of things had to get in the way because there just wasn't good ways to route things, but they're easy to work around and I can pull things off easily. Like there in between the cylinder head and my can tank there's comes up vacuum pump. There just wasn't a way for me to get it from the vacuum pump up to that point the exhaust is in the car. I couldn't go under. I had to come up over the top. So I had to put a 90-degree fit, another 90. That it's not a deal. Move that thing and thrack it, and then I can get my hands in there, no problem. So it's a super simple thing to work around, you know.
Gotcha.
If I have to
question, hold on,
covers off,
hold on,
come off really easy.
Is that a System 1 filter? Is that
what
I'm
is?
looking at? Yeah.
That
so
is. I actually.
Is that new for you?
Let me
have Mike Perduto tell you that's the oh shit filter, right? Remember that when we my first real good experience with that was on Will Tetro's car.
Evans is
the Clearview filter.
Sorry, Clearview.
This is normal stuff. This is normal first startup kind of trash that you get because this is what happens inside of a motor. This is nothing to be scared of. This is normal and typical, and like people freak out over it, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. That's expected. I've done my first clean out. So you let the oil filter through it, you push air into it and let it go back down, let it push the oil through, and then you take the screen out and clean it and put it back together. No big deal.
You'll always find a little
more than
and we find it every time we take the car out. But I will tell you, knowing what it's normally there and then knowing when it's different, that filter has legitimately saved his motor 3 times. Like 3 times from a bearing issue, we were pushing the car too hard and outran what the crankshaft's capable of, and started pushing, crank noodling issues and stuff. That filter legitimately saved the motor 3 times. That is an incredible investment for any race car. And for you guys that don't know it, I'm sure Scott's getting a picture loaded up. They are worth every dime.
No, I'm Scott might be loading one up. Scott, we've been stuck on the same picture for a while, so I don't know if you're.
I just had that one that I just showed, and that was it. Did it not show any of those?
It did not show. It's just the one of your car with the turbos.
You know what? Yep. Let me redo this. I know why. I know exactly why. I need to share.
Don't worry about it. We're blaming Scott Clark anyway.
Yeah, blame it on me. Yeah, my bad. I fucked something up.
No, I know exactly what to do for it. So
there you go.
There.
No. There it comes.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep. So
look at the shit in the filter. That's normal. Yeah.
And it's first startup normal. You know, you got 40,000 miles on something, might want to question why there's so much metal in there. But first couple of times, even after your first oil change, you're going to see stuff. So, and this doesn't bother me a bit. Like, this is less than I expected. I saw this and I was like, that looks awful light. I didn't expect it to be that little. I was expecting more. And all of it's silvery colored. None of it is bearing colored, so I'm not worried. I still have great oil pressure.
For the guys out there watching, the way this thing works,
blurry pictures.
Oil comes in the top of that, and what you're seeing right there, that is actually a clear window in the top. So oil comes in the top and then flows out the bottom. It has an adapter on it, so you can walk up with a tire valve or an air chuck, a tire air upper tool. Walk up, put air in it, and blow all the oil down, and you can actually see that screen anytime you want to. So if you're at the track and you think you hear something or see something, you can shove a little air in that thing and see that screen at any given time without having to disassemble anything, and see what's there and see if you have a problem with your motor, hopefully before it costs you a crank, a block, something expensive.
Yep. I'm looking for a better picture of that on my car right now, seeing if I can find something. I know I have some. I just have literally 3,000 pictures of parts and shit on my car. So.
And Scott, you run a conventional, like a Wix filter that's underneath this unit, correct?
Yep, it's a standard Wix filter. It's the big block filter, but the long one, not the short one.
We don't run a second filter. That's the only filter on the motor.
Yeah, I run the standard oil filter beneath.
Yes. They make one that you can really screw right on the bottom of the housing. Yeah, that picture's perfect. That'll give you an idea how this thing works.
Yep, goes in through the top, goes and squeezes through the bottom, which goes into the filter, which comes back up, and then comes out the bottom of the unit and spits out. I also take my oil feed from the bottom of this for the turbos, so it's filtered oil going to the turbos.
Smart. I like that.
All right, you can see the little fitting there on the left-hand side here. That little guy right there is a little 3AN. So,
and you can see the air chuck fitting right next to your. It looks like.
Yep.
Something for a frame tab.
Air chuck right there.
Yep.
Frame tab for the tin fenders.
Yep. And guys, if you're at the track, you want to
carbon fiber fenders.
You want to clean this thing. You take those 4 nuts off those studs. You can see about 3 of them in that picture.
Yeah.
Pop the top of this thing off. You can pull the filter out, brake clean it out, slam it right back in, and go back to town.
Takes 2 minutes to do. Yep. I remember doing that on Will's car. I remember shitting myself when seeing what was coming out of it, but it was normal. But otherwise,
we had rockers rubbing valve covers. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. We had rockers rubbing on valve cover, and you could hear it, so we kind of knew what was going on. But it was self-clearancing, and all the parts were showing up in this filter.
Yes, they were.
Yowzer.
And since we often talk to Blake at 417, this is his work helping me out. I needed a catch can / coolant overflow. Right, I needed 2 tanks, and so he built me 2 tanks stuck together.
Currently applying for its job on the casting couch.
Result of it. Yep.
I dig the cat pillow. Just saying.
Yep, it's one of my favorite gifts I got from a friend of mine.
Yeah, you guys know Blake and them with 417 Motorsports obviously make really cool custom stuff. If you send them a template out of cardboard, they'll knock it out and get it right back to you. So good shit.
I heard he's an okay welder.
Yeah, he's getting started.
I literally drew this on paper and said, "Here's what I want," and sent him a picture of all the drawings on paper, and he spit it out.
He's got a Harbor Freight TIG welder.
He said, "Oh yeah, I got a." Yep, he said, "I got a frame out in the yard I can use to mock that up with." Cool.
He's gonna kill us when he hears this. Just say,
I know, right? Somebody's gonna tell him what we were saying. He's just getting started at welding. Try to help him out. Blake Hughes at 417 Motorsports. Give the poor guy a job. He's going to be a great welder someday.
One day. He's getting better every time.
I'm going down there next week. I'm in trouble. Shit. I'm stupid.
So I added these bungs. AEM makes these to the exhaust because I plan on doing 8 individual O2s at some point.
Standoffs and they're cooling fins.
Coolers. Yes.
Yep. And they do great. They get the O2 sensor out of the direct heat, and also because they have the fins on them, they help cool down a little bit as well. So they take some of the heat away, which means that you don't kill your sensors. They work really, really good. I've used them in the past on other things, and I decided to put them in before I had everything ceramic coated because I'm not touching it afterwards. And that way it's ready for when I go to spend the money, because 802s is not a cheap project, but it's something I'm going to do.
It's good to have.
Down the road when I have money.
Yep. I've had good luck with that AEM 4-channel wideband now on a couple of different cars. Wade DeLorean's using it.
That's one I'm planning on.
Yep. And the CAN bus interface works with just about anybody's stuff. I've had a couple of good AEM experiences here recently. Carry on.
A lot of power and
everything coated.
You said those standoffs are made by AEM. I was just trying to make sure I heard it correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can get them. God, you can get them somewhere else too. A buddy of mine found those, but they're basically they pull the O2 sensor out of the exhaust stream a little bit, get a little bit out of the heat, and then also that AEM system is pressure referenced, back pressure referenced, which helps correct the O2s. And I've seen them so far on Wade's car. We were up over 40 psi. And right up a little higher than that on back pressure, I think in the 50s. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's where we were at. And his downstream of the turbo O2s stayed right in line with his per cylinder O2 averages. I thought that was pretty cool. And it was interesting. And now that was on a 4G63 engine making, that's capable of running 8s in a street car. But so anyway, just thought it was pretty cool. Oh, look at the weight and balance there.
One of the few that does a consumer grade pressure reference like that. Yeah. A lot of OEMs do it, and there's some options out there. But for
AEM makes it affordable.
Stuff.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. Good job, AEM.
Speaking of Patrick, while you're talking, since we had the guy from M-Tron, have you heard with this Corona deal? Is the M-Tron class still happening next month?
Wrong Barnhill.
Yeah, oh, sorry, dude, my brain. Sorry, I saw the other one today.
Did you call him Patrick? That's hilarious. Well, you know why that is, right? Because Patrick Barnhill is another tuner. We're supposed to get Patrick on here when the Nexus is out, but go ahead.
Literally saw him today. That's why he's on my head.
Right.
What's it called? The M-Tron class. Is that still happening here?
No, I just got the email yesterday.
Okay.
That sucks. Fucking virus.
This is so stupid.
I know. I mean, I hope this ends up being something that we said that, Dr. Noonan kind of convinced me that, all right, it's probably wise that we're doing this, but
it's one of those, it's just like you can't count the failures that don't happen.
Yeah,
we won't
but
know if we over-prepared until...
No, he's not wrong. Yes,
but
I
it's
agree.
fucking up the economy. Dude, so good for the guy that watches my house. I travel a lot, so I have a housekeeper, right, that stays at the house when I'm not here, stays here with the dogs. And he, young kid... How old is Gabe? He's 25, 26. He comes out here, shoots, and we have a good time, but he watches the house for me. And he was second in charge of the manager at an event rental company here in Omaha that's huge. It's the headquarters with 5 or 6 franchise locations and just busy. They do everything from bounce houses to weddings to you name it. They rent everything for events. I use them when I do classes in this part of the country and in Kansas City. Well, dude, everybody just got laid off. They basically just shut things down, and they're totally screwed. Now, I've got him out here helping me doing stuff. We've got siding repair on the house and shit like that, but it just sucks. It's killing some industries. So, man, I hope it's worth it.
I got a buddy of mine, works for a heavy truck place. So my name doesn't matter, but he's diabetic. Mm-hmm. You're at risk. We're going to quarantine you 14 days. Hope you have enough PTO. Take off 14 days. Another friend of mine, works for a larger company. She took the day off today. Just woke up, had a migraine. Nothing else. Didn't want to open her eyes. We've all had them. You know what I'm saying? But she called in, took the day off. Well, HR calls, hey, we're probably have to quarantine you for 14 days because you're sick. Like,
shit.
Yeah. It's becoming more real
also
on that aspect.
Saw a post today from one of my buddies in Nashville. Evans probably knows this, but so all the events that have been canceled, there's a ton of truck drivers in the audio and event world that, drive trucks for big concerts and stuff like that, completely out of work.
What if they close the big 3 for 14 days or whatever they're talking about?
They're doing it. It's done. Yeah.
It's one thing when you have a strike on one, but you're talking about shutting all 3 down for 2 weeks. That's going to be a huge. William Tetro's truck. William's dually got rear-ended by an uninsured driver. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Needs a bed. They told him 2 months because they had the strike before. Now with this going on, hey, we might have it. We might get a bed here in 2 months.
Trying to get LS lifters. Same thing. Jake and Anastasia both work at the plant down in Kansas City. Good friends of mine. Our friend Shelby has friends that works at the Ford plant down there in Kansas City. All these guys are going to be without work and without pay, and they're saying for 2 weeks, but come on. You know what's going on here. Now, I will say this, my event in Florida, right? So TJ Shance's shop, Palm Bay, Trick Pro Motorsports, where we have the Florida class, where we're going to have one weekend after next. What was cool, I called the event people. See, I'm out. I mean, I'll just tell you, there's between $3,000 and $5,000 of money that we have to sink into those events before the event that we're going to lose if we don't sell. That's why I say I got to have at least 12 or 15 people to break even. And so I got on the phone with the caterer, Chef Tony. You're going to love this, Perduto. This is right up your alley. I hired a private chef for that class because it was sold out. Oh, dude. Chef Tony is a BMF, and it's so funny because he normally does high-end weddings and stuff like that. And he's, and I'm just like, he's asking me about go through the menu, and it's just ridiculous high-end food. And I'm like, look, dude, it's a bunch of fat mechanic car guy types. So I'm trying to explain to him what we're going to be serving. He's like, okay, quantity. And I'm like, yeah, lots of quantity, and he's like, do I need to bring servers and stuff like that? I'm like, no, it's going to be pretty simple buffet style. But he was super glad that we weren't canceling. He was super cool to work with. He was absolutely cool with moving the date because everyone else was canceling. So
I heard a friend of mine, place I go for breakfast every morning, the one lady that works there, her daughter owns a wedding store, whatever. She says, dude, she goes, they wedding dresses. You wouldn't believe how many wedding dresses are made in China. The caterers are all canceling the food, this and everything. That industry has been hit for coming up on 3 months now. It's literally crippling the wedding industry.
Yeah.
Which is not something you would necessarily be thinking about.
No.
Everything else, but
it's a big industry.
Yeah, I mean, event stuff.
However, over in China, the divorce rate is way up, I hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are actually having to spend time with their spouse.
It's coming
That's
here.
Pretty sad. That's pretty sad if you think about it.
Jeez.
A guy named Matt in our chat just posted, I guess, Qantas. Australia's airline is canceling all international flights as of next week. 20,000 employees out of work for 3 months.
Yikes.
Yeah, unfortunately, this longer periods of time, whether we like the idea or not, or what's going to turn out to be reality, because once you send people home, the decision to bring them back becomes that much harder.
Sure.
That'll start with schools, but it's going to start with a lot of other things, because if you don't have order flow or you don't have something else, looking at it's like, well, I'm going to bring them back to do what? There'll be that problem. And then the other side of that problem is, what risk am I taking on as a business owner if I say, yeah, okay, y'all come back and 2 people get sick, and then you're going to have the scumbag lawyers circling the place.
And that's already starting.
Yeah, which is why I would like to see, if Congress is going to pass some things, that they provide some immunity, at least for the healthcare professionals and a lot of other people, so that, the next thing, all these docs that are working and doing all this stuff, and they're going to get sued because somebody got sick. And it's like, with all the unknowns, and we've all heard Dr. Noonan talk about all the unknowns, holding people accountable for what may have happened with those unknowns just feels completely unfair to me.
Unfair.
Yeah. I don't have a legal mind, but I don't understand how you, what's it called? Assume liability when you don't know what you're liable for, when you don't know.
Dude, you can sue people for whatever the fuck you want. If you got enough money, you can make up a bullshit story. Yeah, let's get on. I'll just stay away from that topic. But
look at Orlando, our OSW right now. I was there today. What they have done, they closed the track. Private rental, 3 people per car. That's the only way they'll do it right now, and it's just because it's not because
I hope that works.
There's a law you can't be open. Oh, that track runs 300 days a year, it seems. But
nice.
It's not because that you can't legally be open, but it's if someone's there and gets sick and sues you, it's not worth the liability.
Yeah. We had to close our shop today to anyone outside, mainly because of that. We're still in there working, but we have one guy that goes out and meets customers, or we arrange drop off some other way.
UPS, I saw, did away with the signature. There is no signature receipt. They don't want to see you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to meet you. They're going to drop it on your door, ring your doorbell, and walk.
Yeah, that sounds like a good life to me.
Brian, did your wife end up? What happened with your wife's job, Barnhill?
She went back for a week, 2 weeks, something like that. She's back working from home right now.
Okay, good.
From her, she stole my mic. So
good.
Meetings. So,
thoughts go out to anybody out there who's suffering on the work front. Let us know. Keep us posted.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky she can work.
Well, and of course, can I say something?
Yeah.
No.
Because my wife was rather upset today. She's at work, and a guy across the cubicle spent the whole day hacking and coughing and sneezing. Now, there are only 7 cases of the coronavirus in North Dakota, so the chances that he has it at this point are slim. However, why, with the situation the way it is currently, why would you go to work in that condition?
Why show up?
Yeah. No, yes, agreed. If you're sick, stay home.
Because people
even if you
who
sound
can't
sick,
afford a day off are going to show up people who can't afford a day off are going to show up no matter what their illness is, because there are people who are living paycheck to paycheck that can't afford to miss even an hour of time.
Welcome to consumerism.
Their living situation.
Yes.
So it happens. So the people who go to work sick are going because they need the money.
But here's my problem with it. So we've got two elderly people that live with us, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, that are both in very, very poor health and are very, very susceptible to this. So let's say that this individual who can't afford to miss a day to work comes to work and he gets my wife sick and she brings it home.
She brings it home.
He doesn't even know she's sick. She just carries it.
Right. Yeah. And she brings it home and my
even if it's not the coronavirus, Mark, it's the same thing. You know, a good influenza will mess them up.
Right. But with the current thing, looking at Italy, looking at China, looking at how it's spreading, it's rather inconsiderate to knowingly go into a large group of people when you're sick.
For sure.
I agree with that.
So
don't be that guy. Don't be that dickhead.
Don't be that guy. The question is, if you're the one sitting, or in the next cube or whatever, are you the one that says, "Hey, dude, go home," or are you the one that goes to the management and says, "Hey, Billy Bob is over there, hacking up a lung, and we're all worried about the coronavirus going home. You need to send him home." So there's a series of steps. They showed up. Now what? And whoever said it a minute ago,
now
people showing up sick anyway has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
As far as my wife's work goes, they came to her today and gave her the option of working from home, which she accepted.
Good.
And she'll be working from home for at least the next couple of days, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
You got to keep her healthy, man. She's the primary breadwinner in your household.
Well, we all know it ain't me.
Yeah, I know the feeling, Mark.
I'm right there with you.
Mark's the primary spender in his household.
I'm right there with you as well.
We all have our positions.
You lucky mofos is all I got to say. Yeah.
Yeah. She looked. She was like, "How much did you spend on the GTO last month?" And I'm like,
"Oh, bad question.
And she's like, "I knew how much it was, but I had to add it up."
That was pretend. I posted a video in the chat the other day. My wife bought this sauna thing on the back, some infrared sauna deal, and she's like, "You didn't even complain when I told you how much it was." And then later on, she's like, "What did you buy that you weren't worried about how much I spent on this sauna?"
Sweetie, you ain't seen the Amex tab for this month yet.
I told my wife she's only mad because my car makes more horsepower than hers now.
That's a good girl to have right there.
Yes.
I was on somebody posted on something I said, and they said my biggest fear is that my wife sells my tools for what I told her I paid for them.
Facts.
Because I always tell her I paid like 75% or whatever. And then my comeback was, I said, my wife has seen Snap-on bills for 20 years. She's immune.
Right. Of course, Mark's got a Snap-on grill to cook on at his shop. Just saying. I actually like that grill. It's pretty badass. But
do you know I've never used it?
No, you haven't used it yet, dude. We need to come break that thing in.
I can't bring myself to use it. It's too cool. I use the charbroil that sits next to it. That Snap-on stays with the cover on it.
Mark, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you bought a Lamborghini, would you be the guy that just stares at it in the garage, or would you go drive the car?
Oh no, he'd drive it. No, he's not that guy. He'd drive the shit out of that car.
Just, it's a grill.
No. Well, I've been saving the Snap-on for when the charbroil actually wears out. I had the charbroil first, and I won the Snap-on in a contest. So it's like, why have two grills that are used? I figured
I'll give you that.
Right. Let's see here. So, what else, guys? Anybody else? Bueller?
Waiting for racing to go back.
Oh, seriously. It sucks. I just feel like we're sitting here doing nothing. So get some remote tunes on.
That's also like for guys like me, that's a big part of my income. Like that's money I'm not making now.
Yeah, I feel it. So
we don't have a schedule either. Like we know when the first event's supposed to be. That's the other not necessarily bad part. They said they're going to reschedule the event, but our first event coincides with Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Ugh,
So
yeah, good luck.
We're kind of tied to that schedule. It's not like we can be like, oh, well, this weekend works. So we have this whole really tight schedule. We've got a bunch of other stuff going on this summer, and there's a good 4 week area at the end of August where I can't travel. And it's just, if they reschedule it, then I don't know what we're going to do because I kind of can't not go. But so it'll be interesting, but I just want to.
Yeah, the problem is my new scheduled date for my Palm Bay class, April 25th weekend, is the same weekend that they've scheduled the ECTA Blytheville, Arkansas mile event. And so kind of counting on that one maybe getting pushed, or one of them getting pushed off, because we're supposed to be tuning a car at the class for that event. Rick Lind was going to bring his 69 Talladega, which has a RO8 or RO7. It's got an RO7 Mopar engine with twin turbos. The
harness I was just building for that event got that guy had to call it off because his wife has an immunodeficiency, so he can't have guys come in the house and work on the car. Yeah. So the car just won't be ready. I've got the harness. Like, we had a little bit of a freak out thinking there was a problem with the harness. I was able to, go through and make sure it's good, and I've got the harness pretty much ready to go out.
If they push it a month, can you make it?
I think so.
Because I'm kind of hoping you go to that event, because I'm going to be down. I'm going to go to that event.
The problem is, assuming they don't slip any events, once it hits May, what are we looking at? May 8th and 9th, or 8th through 10th, I'm in Atlanta. And then the 30th and 31st, I'm in Orlando for FD Orlando.
Yeah, right, Formula Drift. Yeah, so, God, it's going to screw up the schedule for a lot. We're going to be covering for each other at a couple of different things. I can see it.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Speaking of, Scott, April 24th, before your class, is the race that I was live about today. We're sponsoring Orlando. So if you get your ass down here early,
I will be.
We'll be at the track Friday night for the quick
I'm doing an on-site on Thursday and Friday for a couple of guys that couldn't make the class. I'll be done Friday afternoon, like at 2 or 3, and I'll be all yours. I'll be there. Yep. I'll be over there. Cool. Well, guys, we should probably wrap it up and let these poor bastards get back to their sitting home, lamenting life.
Hey, give one of us a call. Buy parts.
Buy parts. Tools.com. Check them out. RealTuners.com. Check us out. Both of us do stuff. Shit, Barnhill will sell you something and do a remote and set it up for you. Synergy Tuning. Check out Mike Perduto. You can find him on Facebook. He'll help you out. Throttles Performance. Take your car in there and get an oil change. Just kidding.
Dick.
Now I'm teasing. Mark, you need to get your speaker. You need to get your CNC router up online, dude, so we can start selling home theater speakers.
I just got a pallet of Baltic birch today.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm bringing up the tunes. All right, guys. Take care. We'll talk to everybody here pretty soon. Just kind of keep yourself... Yeah, be safe. Keep your shit together and let us know what's going on. We want to kind of hear what's going on out there in the field and hear from you. Join the...
Wash your damn hands.
Wash your hands, yeah. Join the RealTuners Radio podcast fan page on Facebook. Let's use that as kind of a place to touch base with everybody, make sure everybody's doing okay out there. If you need something we can help with, let us know. We'll talk to everybody next week for sure. Thanks, everybody, and peace out.